Allow me to share screen.
You may share screen already.
Not yet. Hang on, share screen. Okay. Okay. All right, we're good. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so I will just let you know again what our what our plan for the day is. I'll be speaking about a very important part of our work, relationships and emotions and caregiving work. Okay, we all know that our work is emotions. Like I said before, if you're a car driver, a bus driver, a technician, no emotions, just your skills, you know, and cognitive skills. But in our field, in our line of work, it's all about emotions. So we're going to be talking about emotions. And again, I invite you to participate and share with us your questions, your thoughts. And we're going to take a short break. And then after we take our short break, we're going to introduce Nympha, who is a caregiver from the Philippines who's been in Israel for a while. And we asked her to come and share her experiences and, of course, questions and answers. And then we say goodbye for the day until tomorrow. So that's our program. So let's begin with emotions. So what is care? The word care has a double meaning. On the one hand, it emphasizes care activities such as bathing, dressing, and feeding someone. On the other hand, care is also feelings of concern, such as caring or affection from the caregiver towards the patient. When we care about someone, we usually feel commitment and responsibility towards him. So care work has been defined as the work that provides services based on sustained personal interaction and is motivated by concern about the others. Care work involves creating a relationship with the patient and his family. Relationship is the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, or the state of being connected. So as we spoke yesterday, first step in care work is building a relationship, right? And a relationship has to involve trust. And so all of that is part of our care. Interpersonal relationships, okay? Interpersonal relationship is an association between two or more people that may range from fleeting to an enduring relationship that we are committed to. Other type of social commitment. This is a very different kind of commitment that we have that is different from other commitments that we have, obviously, right? They're not our family, they're not our business associates, they're not our friends, they're a little bit of everything, and they're not all of those as we conventionally have experienced in other aspects of our life. So this is a different kind of a relationship. The relationship you create with your patient and his family is an interpersonal relationship, okay? It's an interpersonal. You have to present yourself and they have to be present in themselves, okay? So it's very intimate in many ways. The meaning and importance of a relationship. Relationships provide the opportunity for three key benefits: exchange of support, social engagement, and a sense of worth. Very important, these three, okay? If one of these are lacking in a relationship, it's really not going to go well, okay? Even in a work relationship as caregivers, we do need the support of our client and his family and what we do in order to be successful. And they definitely need our support, right? In all of the activities and all of the functions of their life that they have difficulties with. Social engagement, well, to a point, yes. We're not going to be their dance partners or their friends, but yes, we are going to be part of their social life as well. And maybe in some way that we will allow, they'll be part of ours. And a sense of worth. This is very important to feel that what you're doing is appreciated, is worthwhile. And we have an inner sense as, you know, people that do care work. This is something that is an inner motivation usually. And so we know that we're doing important work, but it's also nice to be appreciated. And so I think that it's very important for all of us to find ways to understand and to receive appreciation and also to give appreciation, okay, to the people that we work with, to appreciate, to allow them to feel appreciated as well. All major ingredients for the foundation of well-being of both sides of a relationship. And this is very important, especially in this kind of a situation where you're living with a person, very important. Components of a relationship, okay? On the surface of a relationship, there are needs, desires, and abilities, okay? And under the surface of any relationship, there are expectations, knowledge, and emotions, okay? And very much so in this type of a relationship. On the surface of a relationship, if we go deeper, okay, the needs, both the caregiver and the patient have needs. Needs for listening, for attention, for honesty, and for feeling respected, okay? Have desires, both the caregiver and the patient have desires, okay? For listening, attention, honesty, and feeling respected. And abilities, both the caregiver and the patient have abilities, ability to listen, to respect each other, both parts, okay? Any kind of relationship. As limited as your client may be, your patient, yeah, it's there. Care work is emotion work, okay? Care work is often defined as emotion work. Emotion work can be defined as work that involves emotions, arise emotions, and work that requires to express emotions, okay? It can also be defined as management of one's own feelings or work done in an effort to maintain a relationship. It is only natural that during the caregiving work, different and varied emotions will arise, both positive and negative. Each emotion is legitimate. So I think that one of the essence of being a caregiver or working in this kind of a field, in any caregiving situation, very important that we are minded of our own emotions, okay? Obviously, we're human. We have all the emotions that everything in our surroundings evokes in us. If we're happy, if we're sad, if we're anxious, if we're, whatever. If we're tense, if we're angry, all of those things, we feel obviously. But one of the important issues is to know how to deal with our own feelings, okay? So this is a very important tool in our toolbox to be present and to be able to contain the feelings of our patient or client or people in the surroundings, in order also to be able to manage our own feelings so that they don't interfere with our work, okay? And for that, everyone has to understand that it's okay to acknowledge your feelings and find a positive and a rewarding way to, to express them. Obviously, if it's feelings that are positive, happiness, joy, all of those things, that's easy to express in any situation. But if there are also negative feelings that we sometimes feel, angry, frustrated, disappointed, whatever, it's perfectly okay to feel that way. And then you must find an appropriate way to express it. Talk to friends, talk to people in the family that you think could be supportive, write a blog, write a journal, talk to your family, dance, meditate, pray, whatever it is that you need the situation as well. Along with emotions that you have towards your patient, remember to be self-compassionate towards yourself. This is very important. It's important to recognize emotions, identify them, and give them space and acknowledge them. If you feel any negative emotions, do not suppress them. Do not be left alone with your feelings and emotions. You can always find someone to talk to, friends, family, and of course, our agency, okay? There is the care center. And not to be alone, okay? Tips for creating a good relationship. We talked about these things. We'll briefly go through them. Be mindful of how you start a conversation. Ask open questions. Use the I statement. Be specific in the message that you want to transfer and give others the attitude that you want to receive. Okay, this is very important. I think that I want to talk again about using the I statement. Okay, you might find that Israelis have an unusual, or not the way that, I won't say unusual, but a specific way of being, how should I say it, verbal. They are loud, they are boisterous, they use a lot of body language, They, you know, they have, how should I say it, interpersonal interactions that are very, you know, they touch, they hug, they kiss, interaction often. And you have to know that this is part of the culture, part of the way that people interact. And it's not necessarily an expression of violence. Okay, it may seem that way at first, but it isn't. Where I work, we used to have volunteers from the Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Denmark, and the volunteers didn't understand Hebrew when they would see the staff interacting in a loud, boisterous manner. And then they would say to me, why are they fighting? And, or what are they fighting about? And I said, they're not fighting. They're just, you know, talking. They're just kibitzing. They're just, you know, having fun. And so this was like, wow, okay, this is how they do it here. So yes, eventually, I hope you'll feel comfortable with that tone of interaction, but you must understand that you need to take the time to you know, you don't have to take part in it. You don't have to communicate in that way, obviously, but you know, not to be offended and not to be angry or put off when people approach you in this kind of a manner. It doesn't mean they're angry or anything. They just maybe feel positive and want to show it in that special way. Very important to use the I statement. Again, if you feel uncomfortable in any situation, you say, okay, I see that, I agree, I don't agree, okay? If people approach because you're not sure how to respond, perhaps, or you're still stand, I don't agree, I don't like this. If it feels uncomfortable to you, okay, if it's a family member, give yourself the opportunity and the right to say what you feel and what you think, okay? And yourself in that situation. Give others the attitude that you want to receive. This is the basis for all interaction all over the world. That and smiling is the whole, you know, the essence of everything. We say in Hebrew, that's the essence of all the Bibles in the world. Give everyone the attitude that you want to receive and smile. So I invite you to respond to all the things that I just talked about, emotions in caregiving. I also want to talk about boundaries, okay? I will expand on that in a little bit, but I invite you to tell me what, you know, and talk with each other about what you think are expectations from a relationship between you and your client or patient. What do you think your patient's expectations are from you? What feelings do you think may arise during caregiving work? How do you usually express feelings? And how do you feel in general about care work? Okay. Anyone like to share? What do you think about things?
So why today? Well, yeah, we're not used to it. You spoiled us. We're used to you sharing and thoughts that you express with your voice and loudly. And maybe I'll comment the first question, as you can see, what are your expectations from the relationship with your patient? And we don't mean here necessarily from emotion point of view, but just, you know, based on more or less everything that Sarah presented to you during our last session. So feel free not to limit this talk or this discussion or these questions or your answers only to the last topic, but you can move broadly and we'll be happy to hear you. Jude. Yeah, hi. Yeah, we know that we can count on you to open this discussion, please.
About can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
About are you willing to share? I think for me, I can share my opinion on base what conversation that I had with my employer. Example, in my previous one, she's not the wife actually. She's not that too open, but through making her breakfast, she started to open. So that's the time that I know that she's willing to share what her feelings that time. So that's the right time for me to share as well my feelings, my emotion, my opinion on what she's talking about. So for me, it is easier for me to share a little bit if she start to talk with you, because for me, it's not like the Filipino that if you can talk a lot of things. Unlike with your opposite culture, you need to observe how they are willing to open up with you, maybe in terms of while they're working, or maybe in terms of politics, because I also experience as well the person that has dementia. I can share, and he knows what is in my mind by sharing about my opinion about politics, because he wants to talk about politics. So in conclusion, you can start sharing your opinion, your emotion by starting with a good conversation, by letting your client or your patient to start with a conversation. That's all.
Wow, June, thank you. I will just say that being sensitive to when your client is open to a conversation where each person kind of shares about himself is very important.
Yes.
Thank you for telling us about that. To be minded of when it's appropriate. In the evening, they're tired, they're all closed up, but maybe in the morning is more appropriate, like you experience. Okay. And also, if very important that, like you said, when you see that they are sharing, that you also participate in sharing. And that opens up, the door for a real communication and trust relationship. Okay. And you're right that different cultures will respond differently to strangers. You don't talk about politics to this one. You don't talk about, family to that one. Every culture has its own, agenda. And so you must be minded to learn and to listen and to be, sensitive to when it's appropriate and when it isn't. Thank you. That's a very, very important insight, June. Would anyone else like to share a question or a thought about, our own emotions as caregivers? Well, I'll just say that I assume that, from my own experience, it's something that, comes from the inside, being a caregiver and feeling that this is the right job for me or for you is something that comes from the inside. It's not for everyone, obviously. And especially for you being so brave and coming across the world and doing it with, strangers, not just with family. It's hard enough to take care of people in our own family sometimes, but to do it with strangers is another challenge. And I wonder if anyone would like to share how they came about, to understand that this is something that they can do and want to do. How did that come about? Choosing this type of a profession. Anyone like to share how they understood? Yeah. Hi, Gigi.
Hello, Mom. Mom, for me, my expectation, because I go Saudi Arabia. It's a different country from mine. So when I go Saudi Arabia, my expectation it's not that high, because they orient me that I will be going to take good care of babies. So I go to Saudi Arabia. I never thought that the baby that I should have to care is a triplets with two cerebral palsy and one autistic. The same parents. So I go there and they told me that I have to take good care, having one Indonesia as my nervous. I understand a little the language actually. So it's for me. I go to the bathroom and cry because I didn't know how to handle the triplets baby with deformities, deformities. So what I should do is uh, I pray that I can handle the triplets baby at the same time. But I don't. But the mother, she used to shout at me. Why are you like this? Why are you didn't prepare like this? So I didn't know how to handle it. But it came into my mind that it should be a challenge for me. So I do my job. I do everything to make them to do what is the prepared job for me. So after 6 months, I've noticed that the mother give the trust. I mean, she gave the trust on me that everything will be like this. She oriented me like this, like this. Just to share that in everything, don't expect too much for what you have. For me, expectation, it's not like what you expect. So that's it, Mom. You know what I mean?
Gigi, thank you for sharing that you went into the bathroom and cried because you were frustrated and didn't know how to overcome the situation. Yes. But then you also shared with us that you prayed that you would find the strength to do it. And, yes. And praying helped you, and you did find the strength to overcome and to, you know, to be present and learn what needed to be done. And I would say in Hebrew, as we say, kol hakavod, okay, kol hakavod. I applaud you. And yes, I think that, you know, in every situation, I'm sure that all of you will be facing difficult situations at one point or another, even if you have clients that are positive and good situations and so on, there are challenges. And I think that, you know, finding a way that gives you strength to overcome those challenges is very important, okay? So everyone has to kind of find a way to recharge their own batteries. This is very important, okay? Everybody, no matter where you are in life, you know, even if you have your own difficulties at home with your family and so on, there's always low points, and everyone needs to know how to charge your batteries in a positive way, obviously, not to hit people, not to, you know, but in a positive way, right? To alleviate stress and to find strength. Okay, thank you for sharing that. So you had a very challenging position, and yeah, well, thank you. Anyone else would like to talk about, you know, the emotional part of why they chose to take on this job, this kind of work, experience that they've had that, you know, anyone would like to share more? I want to talk a little bit about borders, okay? So basically, it's part of that, you know, charging our batteries and placing borders. I could, you know, you get very emotionally involved in a situation, especially like you told us that you have to care for children with deformities, and, you know, you learn to care for the person that you take care of, and then you kind of maybe suffer with them if they have hardships and so on. Very important to also know to put borders around our own feelings, okay? Sometimes we think, oh, we're going to be part of the family, but that may be our expectation and not the, you know, our caregiver's expectation. You know, like your example that you were overwhelmed with the challenge, and the lady that, you know, the mother kept badgering, why are you not doing this or doing that? You know, it's not like she was gentle with her attitude towards you. So yes, that also needs to be guarded, okay, from your emotional part. To have it, yeah, you need to guard your own self in a way that you won't be hurt, okay, in the way that you respond, and it takes time, and it takes professional know-how how to do that, how to be in a difficult situation. I think, June, you showed us an example when you told us about your patient that was, you know, sexually presenting himself to you, and you maintained, you know, your composure. And Gigi showed us an example of, you know, you persevered and you stuck it out and you learned what was expected of you and you presented yourself in a professional manner. Those things take time, and you have to allow yourself the time to build your own professional, how should I say it, inner self, your professional core, okay? And to still, you know, allow yourself to attach and to feel and to be compassionate and to be gentle and so on, but also eventually you build a professional core that kind of, you know, helps you to preserve yourself, not to fall apart when things are very challenging and difficult emotionally, of course. Okay. Anyone else want to respond to what I talked about? Borders, experiences that were, or things you're concerned about? Okay. Maybe what your client is expecting of you that he didn't voice, that he didn't write down. You know, people have expectations that they don't, you know, perhaps they're sad and they think, oh, once the caregiver comes, everything is going to be happy. Or, you know, they're lonely. Once the caregiver comes, oh, my loneliness will dissipate. Well, you know, that's not going to happen, obviously. So, you know, perhaps our clients or patients also have expectations that are not really realistic and are not going to be met by you. Okay. Anyone want to talk a little bit about that, perhaps?
I do believe, ma'am, that when taking care of an elderly people is like taking care of a baby, just like a cycle. The way they think, the way attention that they need is like a baby. Most of it, just like a baby, they want attention, they want to listen, they want something like that. Just like an old person, an elderly people, if you're taking care of, you need to listen more. You need to be attentive more because they are just like babies, they are more sensitive as well. Sometimes they cannot express well what they like, maybe because there's something, some of it are had a disability, or maybe based of the frustration they cannot express well because, you know, you don't know the person well. So for me, in this kind of field that we are entering in this work, I do believe that on how you handle a baby, on how you pamper a baby, on how you care for a baby is similar on taking care of an elderly people.
You know, June, you're right, but you're also wrong. I want to say something about that. You're right in the sense that young people, children, babies, and elder people, a major part of their being is the emotion. Okay, they respond, they are sensitive, they, you know, the emotional part of their life is the major part. Intellectually, perhaps not so much, and physically, not so much, and socially, not so much, because, you know, because life cycles have kind of, you know, dissipated because of their disability and so on. So the emotional part of their life is big, is huge, just like with young children. You know, they haven't yet learned to walk, to talk. So, you know, the connection is through their emotional being. And you're absolutely right about that. But the difference is, of course, that they did once know how to, you know, how to think, how to talk, they are a complete human being. And we're not there to teach them anything. We're not there to scold them if they do something right or wrong. You know, we're not the police. We're not their teachers. We are their caregivers. And so their interaction and in life is basically, you know, comes from the emotional state. And that's why, you know, it's very important to be minded for it and to aim towards that, right? Whatever makes you feel good, whatever makes you, you know, comfortable, whatever makes you relax, whatever makes you, you know, happy, all of those, you know, all of the positive things that make up an emotional being, that's what you aim for, right? That's what our work is aimed for. And that's why this discussion is how our work is emotional work, because this is what we do. And it doesn't matter what age the people that we care for are, but this is what we aim for, right? Thank you, June, for saying that. Anyone else want to say something more before we take a small break, and then we will introduce our guest for the day?
Yeah. Just maybe also make a note that, you know, today's subject, as probably all of them, topic is complicated. People are complicated. Our emotions are complicated. It's not always as we want them to be. It's not easy, or sometimes even possible to manage our emotions, and even more of somebody else. but you know, just to be aware of that, think of that, find a way to share with each other. Yeah, also going back not only to our day session, but also yesterday. It was very important for us also to bring in your attention. And yeah, we'll have a break for 5 minutes, and we will see you in 5 minutes together with info.
Okay.